Let's try talking into it. Hello, welcome to the Veneto Club, and maybe the meter will say that it's going. All right. Round 6 of NPLW Victoria action concludes this weekend here at the Veneto Club on a brisk Saturday afternoon in a local derby of sorts, as the two teams who play their home games here at the Ven go head-to-head. Bulleen Lions and Boroondara Eagles in what is a game of pivotal importance for both outfits as we prepare to get underway. As we flick on over to 4 o'clock local time. And our central referee, Courtney Van Diesen, blows her whistle to commence proceedings. Boline going through an uncharacteristic rut of sorts in the league. There's an early chance as well for Boroondara. And first shot on target of the afternoon comes from Drew Dempsey on that left-hand side. But Boroondara, who've taken a number of people by surprise with their bright start to the campaign, of course, under the new leadership of Luca Var, their young head coach. And they're looking to secure what would be a 4th straight win in all competitions this afternoon. It's never easy taking on Boline, particularly at the Ven, but Caitlin Friend's team have been struggling of late. They've lost their last 3 league outings, something that is almost unheard of for Boline. They did somewhat get things back on track with a win in the Nike Cup last weekend, but when it comes to their league form, things going anything but smoothly at the moment for Bulleen Lions, and taking on a Boroondara team filled with confidence. So we see that attempt to work the ball forward. Boroondara, unsurprisingly, naming an unchanged 11 for this afternoon's contest. As mentioned, those 3 straight wins across all competitions, including back-to-back wins against Preston Lions. It's been a mighty impressive run from the Eagles, as we see Bulleen venturing forward for the first time. Headed forward there by Nia Saleh and ultimately cleared up towards the halfway line. As Boroondara look to spring forward themselves. Severi Rayan to Ferreira Bass, who does play through Dempsey. The offside flag, though, will mean any attempt wouldn't have counted. But for Boroondara, that unchanged 11 from their last league outing, which was here at the Ven when they beat Preston Lions 2-0. Mia Mossman in goal. Number 2, Emily Collier. Number 4, Kanako Higuchi. Number 10 is the captain, Hayley Gertz. Number 11, Priya Severi Rayan. Number 12, Candy Ferreira Bass. 15, Felicity Georgopoulos. 16, Angelica Houndalis. 21, Saki Nagai. 25, Drew Dempsey. And 35, Maddie Rees. Caitlin Friend, on the other hand, has made a couple of changes to the last league team who took the field. That was out at Cross Keys against Essendon Royals. Never an easy outing, that one. And they were defeated 1-0 on that occasion. A couple of changes see the return of Kat Renahan to the starting lineup, whilst Mary Brown, the academy team product who's really made a name for herself for being a prolific goal scorer, gets her crack from the opening whistle. So we do see Bulleen trying to venture their way forward. But the rest of the team in goal, the experienced Emily Shields, as mentioned, number 3, Kat Renahan, 7, Danny Buttress, 8, Sarah Kane, 10, Maddie Rakic, 11, Anais Yosefsky, number 12 is Mary Brown, 15 is Kristen Malloy, 16, Grace Cagnina, number 19, Nia Saleh, and 21 is Rosie Roger, who's been an ever-present in the middle of the park so far this season for Bulleen. So we see Rees taking this throw in, sending it up a decent distance up towards Nagai. Saki Nagai, who's made a really promising start to life at Boroondara. Plays it back to Rees. Looking to return it to Severi Rayan, but missing her target with the pass. So we'll get back underway through Grace Cagnina. One of a number of youngsters that Bulleen have employed early in the season. Of course, it is the nature of Bulleen's squad makeup that they tend to struggle early in the season, at least relative to what they're capable of, with the A-League players not yet back in the squad. We'll wait and see who and how many of those superstars Bulleen will get access to in the latter part of the campaign. But for now, trying to avoid what would be an unprecedented 4th straight defeat in NPLW action. Ball over the top again, looking towards the outlet of Dempsey. Quick off her line, though, was Emily Shields. A draw or a defeat for Bulleen this afternoon would mean 4 straight games without a win. That hasn't happened since 2022. And before these last few weeks, if you want to know the last time Bulleen lost 3 straight league games, you're going all the way back to the very first season of NPLW football, that being 2016. They ended their campaign, Bulleen, with 3 straight defeats that year. Never before has it been 4 straight losses in NPLW. So Boroondara, with the prospect of inflicting some unwanted history on their neighbours. For now, they're happy to recycle the ball. So we see Higuchi looking out towards that left-hand side. It has been a positive start for Boroondara, getting plenty of the ball. This is near Saleh now for Boline. Uses Sarah Kane. And the Lions happy to play it all the way back to their goalkeeper and try to get themselves a little bit of comfort on the ball. Saleh with a number of early touches in this one. And racing back to cover there was Angeliki Houndalis, a former Bulleen player herself. Has been at a number of the biggest clubs in NPLW football, coming through the junior ranks at South Melbourne, working her way up to the senior team before some stints at Heidelberg and Bulleen. Now looks to have found a place that's giving her plenty of playing time at Boroondara, has Houndalis. Uses Georgopoulos and up to Higuchi. Part of a defence that's kept 2 straight clean sheets. A couple of 2-0 wins over Spring Hills and Preston Lions. Before, as mentioned, repeating the feat against the Lions in the Nike Cup, a 3-2 win on that occasion. So very much having their northern rivals' number over the last couple of outings have Boroondara. And now looking to inflict a similar outcome on the other Lions team in this division. That ball finding its way all the way through to Caitlin Friend on the bench, who throws it to Maddie Rakic to get play back underway. This is Danella Buttress trying to skip past Taguchi, but Mia Mossman is off her line. Buttress coming off a solid showing in the Nike Cup. Bulleen 3-0 winners over Keilor Parks. A lower league opposition, but a much needed outcome. Buttress scoring a couple of those goals alongside Rosie Roger, who also scored one. It is finding the back of the net that's proven to be a real struggle for Bulleen in recent weeks. Mentioned those 3 straight league defeats. Haven't scored in any of those games, Bulleen. A real extraordinary shift from the top most prolific scorers alongside Preston in last NPLW season. 67 goals in 22 games they ended the regular season with last campaign. So to just have 3 goals from their opening 5 games suggests a steep decline, but more than enough time to arrest that, as we see Renahan trying to loft the ball in behind. Throw hoping for Ferreira Bass, but it rebounds off the veteran forward's back. Now Nia Saleh looks inboard to Kane. Kane trying to pick out Brown. The ball with a little bit too much juice on it. And now handleless for Boroondara. See both of these teams content to be patient in their build-up. Defensive players very comfortable with the ball at their feet. Gertz spreads it back out to handleless, who now looks to send away Rees. Cutting across was Kanyina. And now here's a chance for Nia Saleh. Looks to release Buttress, has Higuchi for company. And the defender got her body between opponent and ball, and that's what prompted the whistle of our referee, Courtney Van Diesen, in the middle of the park. Assisted this afternoon by Sarah Bellew and Nathan Emsley on the sidelines. And Harper Rackham, the fourth official for this afternoon's game. Pending other results this weekend, Boroondara could end up as high as second spot on the NPLW ladder by the end of the round. They would, of course, need to win this game for that to be the case, as well as hope for a couple of other favourable results. This is Kane using Roger. And Rosie Roger spreads it to Maddie Rakic. It's a nice turn from Yasevsky. Still Anna Yasevsky. Buttress will get there first. Looks to cross towards the middle, but off balance as she hit it. And so it'll be a straightforward goal kick for Mia Mossman. That ball pinched back by Rosie Roger. Stealing in from behind Hayley Gertz, but Boroondara able to recover the ball. This is the captain, Hayley Gertz. Now Saleh for Bulleen. Not for the first time in this opening 12 or so minutes. The through ball ever so slightly overhit. Mia Mossman having to remain alert, but quick off her line on each occasion so far. And now again, Boroondara will reset with Kanako Higuchi in towards Felicity Georgopoulos, who we've seen rotating a little bit with Hayley Gertz in terms of who steps into midfield as opposed to into the back line to help with the build-up. Higuchi pulls the trigger. It ends up with Saki Nagai, who loses out to Roger. Now a chance for Yasevsky and Boline. Now ball over the top, read by Hounderless. And now Kane. Trying to thread the needle, but neither Brown nor Buttress was making the run. This is a fixture that has historically lent heavily in the favour of Boline. Of course, we're now into a third season since Boroondara returned to the top flight of Victorian football. And they're yet to beat Boline in that run. The two teams have played 6 times since then, since the start of 2023. The very first meeting was Boroondara's first game back in the top flight. That one ended in a 2-2 draw, and since then we've seen 5 consecutive Boline wins. A couple of cup meetings to go with the league confrontations. Really is quite the one-sided record. Those past 5 meetings, all of which have ended in Bulleen wins with an aggregate score of 22-7. We know Boroondara returned to the top flight under John Kyrgios with a distinctly attacking approach to football. Their games were more or less guaranteed goals. And well, if the recent history between these teams is anything to go by, those 6 games since Boroondara returned to the top flight, we've seen an average of 5.5 goals per game. So from a neutral perspective, wouldn't mind that trend continuing, albeit the vast majority of those goals going the way of Bulleen up until this point. And it is Bulleen who've maybe looked a little bit more threatening up to this point in terms of making attacking moves, but the execution so far leaving a little bit to be desired, and Boroondara happy to attempt to control the tempo of the game, as we see once again the defensive line setting up. Georgopoulos in towards Gertz. Just moving the Bulleen shape from one side to the other before eventually pulling the trigger with a long ball or ball over the top. That's clever from Dempsey, receiving the ball. Now still going is Drew Dempsey, gets the shot away. And Boroondara rewarded for their patience with a good look on goal. Drew Dempsey finding a pocket of space, showing for the ball and charging forward, having received it. Bulleen allowing her plenty of space to get the shot away, but thankfully from a Bulleen perspective it was down the throat of Emily Shields. This is Gertz now. Kane sticking a toe in, and Kanyina doing enough to get it away from goal. The decision is a Boroondara throw. A little bit of danger as the ball does find its way past Collier, and that allows Yosefsky to make the run down the right-hand side. And her reward is a corner for Bulleen. They've become notorious in the last couple of seasons, Bulleen, for their set-piece threat. Piling on the goals from, well, exactly these kinds of situations, the corner routines. It hasn't been anywhere near as much of a feature so far this campaign. Courtney Van Diesen just making sure there isn't an excessive amount of physical contact between the players before the ball is delivered. Now it will be sent in. Look to be perhaps Renahan getting the boot on that one. But it's a fairly harmless attempt. And Boroondara will yet again be allowed to reset from the back. Bulleen win the ball up, back high up the pitch. It's Buttress who gets the shot away, falls into the path of Saleh. It's a wonderful double save from Mia Mossman. And that is as close as Bulleen have come. Saleh's shot forcing a really good reaction save. And Kanyina deemed to have committed a foul with the high boot. Sakinago rewarded for putting her head in the firing line. But that was a little bit more the Bulleen that we've come to know in recent seasons. Pressing high up, winning the ball back in dangerous positions and forcing the defence to scramble. Mia Mossman up to the task, at least on that attempt. So both teams getting a decent look at goal in the last few minutes. has been a distinctly watchable first 20 minutes of this contest. Throw taken in towards Ferreira Bass. Wasn't able to keep it in the field of play. Now a chance perhaps for Boroondara to apply a bit of pressure of their own. But the pressure valve very quickly released as Bulleen given the chance to counter. Buttress and Higuchi ready to do battle again. This time Buttress gets through, brought down. It's a stonewall penalty. And Danella Buttress rewarded for her industry down the left-hand side. And after a couple of strong showings from Kanako Higuchi, that time it was Buttress who got the better. And Boline with an opportunity to score their first NPLW goal in 4 games. It's Nia Saleh who will take on the responsibility. Mia Mossman has already saved one of Saleh's attempts. It was an excellent stop with her legs. But this will require something special. And Saleh looks to give her team the advantage. Mossman saves! Once again, the goalkeeper standing up tall. It was a decent enough attempt at a penalty, but Mia Mossman read it early and palmed it clear. And for Bulleen, the goal drought goes on. They've clearly come up against an inspired goalkeeper this afternoon. Corner sent in, awkward to deal with, and eventually get it clear to Boroondara. And now perhaps a chance for the Eagles to spring forward. They've got themselves a throw in the Bulleen half. Well, out of your picture, Mia Mossman doing a bit of a celebratory jump and dance. Hard to blame her for being pretty chuffed with her work in the first 22.5 minutes of this game. And an excellent penalty save as well. Higuchi hoping to find Nagai, but sent out for a Boroondara throw. Will be taken by Collier. Mrs. Ferreira Bass almost fell into the path of Gertz. And Buttress once again drawing the foul, so it was penalty won by Danny Buttress. Challenge now for Bulleen. Things have not been going their way as of late in this competition. They've had an okay start to this one, got that penalty. The opportunity goes begging. We'll see how effectively they can regroup and look to build on that. This is Mary Brown, quickly closed down by Higuchi, who will feel she has some amends to make. Will be as grateful as anyone for Mia Mossman's save. Georgopoulos gets play back underway after catching Courtney Van Diesen with the earlier pass. Sveri Rayan unable to take the ball under a spell. And now Kane finds her midfield partner in Roger. And Roger sets Buttress away. This is Danella Buttress. Goes across goal into the path of Yasevsky. Bulleen do have the lead. It's Anais Yasevsky with the finish. Once again, Danny Buttress central in the build-up. A wonderful bit of swift counter-attacking play from Bulleen. And Anais Yasevsky has her second of the season and gives Bulleen a deserved lead in this one. They've been knocking on the Boroondara door. And not even Mia Mossman could keep that one out. Just have a slightly delayed restart as Mia Mossman gets some attention. Certainly hope that that's not too serious in the aftermath of the goal. Just caught by the knee of a teammate in an attempt to scramble the ball clear following Danny Buttress's awkward to deal with cross, which was eventually palmed into the path of Anais Yasevsky for the finish. Looks as if Mia Mossman will be good to continue though. And that goal and subsequent stoppage perhaps providing Boroondara a chance to regroup. In a game that hasn't been particularly comfortable for them up to this point. There's no doubt that Boline have created the weight of chances. And having scored the goal, the challenge very much now lays with the Eagles to bounce back and work their way back into this game. It's another good ball. Once again, Yasevsky set away. Mossman deflects it away from goal. Buttress was there, hits the post. Buttress again. And somehow Boroondara escape. And perhaps the Bulleen attack is finally clicking into gear. The combination of Buttress and Yasevsky proving awfully difficult to deal with for the Eagles. Well, for all the work Danny Buttress has done, she won't be able to believe that she doesn't have a goal to her name for the threat that she's posed. But right now this game is going in one direction. But it's very much in favour of Bulleen. Reigning premiers looking to get their league campaign back on track. That offside flag will provide a bit of relief for Boroondara. But really, apart from that Drew Dempsey chance, which was fired really right at Emily Shields, Boroondara don't have a lot of attacking threat to show for their work in this first half. Of course, necessary not only to get themselves back into this game, but perhaps to relieve a bit of the pressure on their defence, which has been working overtime in the first half hour or so of this game. Kanyina into Brown, back to Saleh. And opts to head towards Kat Renahan. That ball, too much power on it for Roger to take control. Ranahan and Malloy at the back for Bulleen have been fairly unperturbed up to this point in the game. Hoping to change that now is Hayley Gertz. Sends it in towards Dempsey, who looks out towards Rees. Maddie Rees, the pass not exactly to the advantage of Priya Severi-Rayan. We'll get another crack at it though. Rees with the throw-in. Nagai, well that was clever, towards Ferreira Bass. The shot caught a deflection. It was awkward to deal with for Emily Shields, and she'll be grateful that it ultimately goes just wide of her post. A difficult one to deal with if it were on target, but the result is only a Boroondara corner. Which it looks as if Hayley Gertz has been charged with the responsibility of taking. Severi-Rayan makes the short run. Corner's more direct than that. And the end result is a yellow card for Kanako Higuchi for what I believe was a high boot in attempting to direct the ball on target. You can see Higuchi very much catching one of her Bulleen opponents with that boot as a result. So a pretty straightforward yellow card decision for Courtney Van Dusen to make. They have responded, Boroondara, to going behind and to look a little bit more proactive. As of yet, though, it's still Boline who control this game. Malloy uses Kagnina. Grace Kagnina does well. Too clever for even Nia Saleh there as Boroondara look more central with Candy Ferreira Bass. Towards Higuchi. Ball inside from Collier, ends up with Dempsey, hoping for Ferreira Bass. The Bulleen numbers, well, it was a risky approach from Malloy, but she skipped her way out of defence, and her reward is a Bulleen attack led by Danny Buttress. Sends it through for Nia Saleh. Higuchi gets there first and is happy to shepherd it through. Shepherd it behind, rather, for a goal kick. Rees doing well to make that tackle against Buttress when you consider how lively the Bulleen winger has been. Even when she loses out on that one-on-one, she still earns her team a throw, does Danny Buttress. Still going, the number 7 for Bulleen. Falls into the path of Nia Saleh. Shot on target, palmed away by Mossman. Thankfully for Boroondara, the players are there to scramble it clear. Back into the mix, the Buttress this time with their head. Unable to get sufficiently clean contact to direct it on target. But having endured the Boroondara response, it's Boline who are once again on top of this game. They are posing a serious threat just about each time they go forward at the moment. Whenever Danny Buttress is on the ball. Sarah Kane in towards Buttress. Higuchi gets it out to the goal scorer, Yosefsky. Yosefsky's cross inside. Out behind for a Mia Mossman goal kick. It is so often the way that Bolene's play style works, in that they accumulate pressure, just building on each attacking play. It's made to feel like life's harder and harder for the opposition as they try to play through a fairly incessant press. And that in turn feeds into the Boline confidence. They're going to win the ball back and create another decent half chance. And once again, they will win the ball back in the Boroondara half of the pitch. This time, albeit from a slightly deeper position, but Chris Malloy will go on a charge forward. Still going is Malloy, uses Roger. Now Malloy out towards Buttress. See Severi Rayan getting back to support with the defence. Offside for Boline though. Sverian did well to come away with the ball. Renahan, though, quick to send it forward again. And this time you see the instruction from Mia Mossman is that she's just going to launch it up towards halfway. The goalkeeper making the executive decision that their attempts to play clearly the way that they want to hasn't quite been as effective up to this point in the game. Even that longer or more direct approach ends with a recovery of possession for Boline. That touch from Kane's a little bit heavy. Dempsey sneaking in. Now Rakic up towards Yosefsky. Going head to head with Collier, and the assistant referee on that side won't have a much easier decision to make this afternoon. That one, pretty clear shove. And so the pattern repeats. How much of this first half have we seen in this third of the ground? Even if it's Boroondara with the ball, a lot of the time they're just not posing much of a threat. They don't have an answer to the Boline press. See if Mia Mossman once again opts for the long ball up towards halfway, or they revert to their attempts to play out. All right, now with just over 5 minutes remaining of regulation in the half, not wanting to take too many chances, just get into the sheds perhaps with the 1-0 deficit and able to reset and come out with a new approach in the second half that they hope will get them a little bit more reward. Frere Bass singing it through towards Nagai. Saki Nagai too strong for Renahan in that battle. Looks inboard where Hayley Gertz has a plethora of space. Goes from a long way out, Gertz, and ends up on the roof of the net. Not for the first time this half. Emily Shields grateful that the attempt is narrowly beyond the frame of her goal. Boroondara again winning the ball back in a dangerous position. Savari Rayan goes for the cross and wins her team a corner. Raz Kagnina closing down the space and conceding the set piece opportunity. So a late surge from Boroondara as they attempt to get themselves back level before the break. It'll be a real steal if they're able to do so. There's no doubt that Boline are good for their 1-0 lead. Hayley Gertz's cross. Well, it met a clear header as well. I think Drew Dempsey, who wasn't able to keep it down or on target. But that was a really good chance for the American winger. Emily Shields grateful that her opposition have as yet been unable to really test her as much as they might have. So Boroondara just reminding their opponents of the threat that they still pose, even if the game hasn't gone exactly their way up to this point. Bulleen would cherish a second goal with the game currently looking as it does. Brown to Saleh, buttresses space on the left-hand side, gets the shot away. It's another great save from Mossman. And eventually it's cleared by Collier. Mia Mossman has been constantly threatened in this first half. It's got to be up to 5 or 6 separate saves that she's made. On form, the goalkeeper, and she's really the reason why her side are only the 1 goal down as we near half-time. Near Saleh, having given the hand signal. Delivers the out-swinging ball. It's Buttress who got the header. That one tricky to get on target. Bulleen may be forced to settle for just their 1 goal advantage. They'll be feeling good though, because it's just about as good a half of football as they've played this season, Bulleen. Even those couple of wins that they got in the first 2 rounds of the season weren't the most convincing of displays. But this one, they've managed to get the game going how Caitlin Friend would have dreamed it up. It's very Rayan. Got past Kagnina, but not Kane. Brown into Roger. Now Anais Yosefsky. Back to Kane. Off balance as she lashed at the shot. So just with around 30 seconds of regulation time remaining, we're about to enter into the discretion of Courtney Van Diesen. And you'd think that Boroondara would accept the 1-0 scoreline considering how the game has played out. Still very much in with a shout in this game if they're able to reverse its general direction in the second 45. Might have to see off one or two more Bulleen attacks before they can get to that point though. Malloy into Kane. See the fourth officials board telling us there'll be a minimum of 3 minutes still to be played. So Boline still with reason to search with great endeavour for a second goal. Equally though, Boroondara can threaten on the counter. This is Dempsey. Plays it towards Ferreira-Bass. A little bit too wide for the number 12, and there's another Boroondara corner incoming. We saw how good a look the Eagles got the last corner they had. The Drew Dempsey corner. Dempsey, who's been far and away the primary threat for her team up to this point. They won't want to be giving such a clean look this time. That ball in, it meets the head of Ferreira-Bass, who got it on target but not the power to beat Emily Shields. Really have looked like scoring from those situations, the Eagles. And so for as much as Bulleen have been the better team in this first half, it's not as if Boroondara haven't had their looks in it, snatching an equalising goal. Although nor have Bulleen been lacking chances to double or even treble their lead. As Nia Saleh, who's had a couple of those chances, including, of course, the penalty before the goal. And that ball, well, making life tough for Mary Brown. Tani Buttress has been the standout performer of this first half. That ball maybe lacking a little bit of energy. And in the final minute of the half, Drew Dempsey will get one more look, trying to stand up Maddie Rakic and get around her opponent. Coming across though was Renahan to win it back for Boline. And now there's space on the counter. Mary Brown quickly closed down by Higuchi. And that will be half-time. So Boline head into the break with a 1-0 advantage. It's the Anais Yasevsky goal that currently separates the two teams. They had a penalty beforehand. Nia Saleh's effort saved by Mia Mossman, who was perhaps Boroondara's standout player in between the sticks, making a number of important saves to keep the deficit at just the one goal. The Eagles, though, have had their looks in as well. A couple of Welcome back to the Veneto Club. Second half underway between Bulleen Lions and Boroondara-Carey Eagles. And at the break, it's Bulleen leading 1-0 in the battle of the two teams who play here at the Veneto Club. And hard to argue that they didn't deserve it. The 1-0 scoreline not really reflecting how attacking and the quality of chances that we saw in that first half. We see an early charge down the right-hand side for Boroondara. Severi Rayan brought to the deck, but legally so, and Boline will look to spring the other way forward. But in what is the final match of round 6 of NPLW this season, Boline looking to get their premiership defence back on track. Boroondara hoping to continue what's been a really bright start to their campaign. But we're well and truly second best in that first 45, the Eagles. And hoping for a good response, having had time to regroup over the half-time break. This is Mary Brown delivering the cross-in board. It's a comfortable take for Mia Mossman, who was really the standout player for Boroondara in that first half, making a number of high-quality saves, including the penalty from Nia Saleh. Not even though Mia Mossman's best efforts were able to keep Anna Yasevsky's shot out of the back of the net after another piece of wonderful play in the build-up from Danny Buttress. Here is the goal scorer Yasevsky inside towards Brown, back towards Yasevsky. Getting there well was Kanako Higuchi, who had a mixed first 45. Showed a number of exhibits of her quality and defensive intelligence, as well as giving away that penalty. Also picked up a yellow card for her trouble in an attacking corner. Ball inside. Sarah Kane unable to take the ball under her spell. Cagnina up towards the box. Kane tries her luck from a long way out. That would have been quite the finish if it had come off, but slightly wide of the post. This the third of 3 NPLW games to take place this afternoon. 3 big games as well, with significant ramifications at both ends of the table. I can tell you now, with both of those other games having kicked off an hour earlier, they've just finished, the both of them, and well, hopefully this second half will be as good as the second halves in those two. Heidelberg United avoiding a real scare at the hands of Brunswick Juve, coming from 1-0 down at the break to win that 2-1 and continue their strong start to the campaign. So that ensures that they'll remain ahead of Boroondara regardless of the result in this game. Meanwhile, Alamein, who, similar to Boroondara, have been somewhat surprise packages this season, winning yet again. This is Drew Dempsey, though, for the Eagles. The shot away, it was, well, you thought just for a moment it might trickle through the legs of Emily Shields. The experienced goalkeeper doing just enough to claim the ball in the end. Alamein, they too had to come from behind. They were 1-0 down to Essendon Royals, of course last season's finalists, preliminary finalists that is. But storming home to win that game 4-2. So Alamein and Heidelberg each continue their strong starts to the campaign. And that increasing the need for both of these teams to pick up points in this afternoon's contest. Boline can't afford to lose further ground on the teams that they'll very much see as their rivals for silverware. Whilst for Boroondara, if they want to capitalise on the promising start they've made, they'll be hoping that the trend of turnarounds from half-time 1-0 deficits on this Saturday will continue. They've got around 40 minutes or so to achieve that. They've made a promising start to this second half, although that giveaway is a dangerous one as Sarah Kane slides it through to Danny Buttress, gets the shot, across goal. And behind play there was a coming together between Candy Ferreira-Bass and Sarah Kane, which has left both a little worse for wear, particularly the Boroondara player. See her holding that foot, Candy Ferreira-Bass, but looks as if she'll be good to continue, which is good news for all. No doubt a little bit more urgency in the Boroondara play early in this second half. I certainly feel as if scoring this afternoon is not beyond reach. They had a number of decent looks at goal despite being comfortably second best in that first half. This is Ferreira-Bass. Her and Kane resumed their battle. Now Dempsey, who was the most threatening outlet for Boroondara in that first half, uses Rees. Kanyina trying her best to prevent the corner, but it will be a look for the Eagles. As they look to send the ball into the penalty area. Hayley Gertz heading over to be the deliverer. Gertz's ball in. Getting there was Higuchi. It's a fantastic save from Emily Shields. Both goalkeepers showing us some of their very best in this game so far. And well, I mentioned before the mixed bag of an afternoon so far for Kanako Higuchi. Got up really well for that header and forced a fantastic Emily Shields save as well. And that is maybe the closest the Boroondara have come to opening their account for the afternoon. Danny Buttress at the other end for Bulleen. Across the face of goal and behind for a goal kick. Well, as if we needed the evidence, it's clear to see that this game is far from over. Boroondara, you'd think, will almost surely continue to get looks based on how the game's gone up to this point. And will, of course, leave vulnerabilities at the back. Not that Boline have needed those to create chances so far. But fair to say that they haven't got the ironclad grip that they had at times in the first half. They haven't been able to re-establish that, Boline. Maddie Rakic inboard towards Brown, whose touch gets it to Kane. Now out to Buttress. Still Danny Buttress, creating some space on her right and running around in a circle before eventually Nia Saleh picks up possession. To Kanyina. Cross inside, met by Higuchi. And now Gertz hoping for Ferreira-Bass, but Maddie Rakic was well positioned. Rakic hoping for Yosevsky. Dempsey contributing to the team defence. This time, though, Yosevsky was picked out, unable to take control of the ball. And the result is a Boroondara goal kick. See Angeliki Hounderless sending the ball upfield. Malloy very nearly losing it to Saki Nagai. And now Niasale with some composure on the ball before Renahan hoofs it upfield. And there is undoubtedly an extra layer of intensity so far to this second half in what was already a highly watchable game of football. Maddie Rakic unable to prevent it getting to Dempsey. Looks cross field when the guy goes for goal herself. Not lacking in ambition, but Emily Shields, well, based on the save that we saw a couple of minutes ago, that one a little bit more comfortable to deal with. Sverria and that pass not quite on the same wavelength as Ferreira Bass. This is Georgopoulos playing it back to Houndelus, whose pass up couldn't pick out Rees. Making amends with a crunching challenge. Angeliki Houndelus and Danny Buttress taking a tumble as a result, but looks to be okay. It was a clean attempt on the ball from the Boroondara player. And the slingshot action may well continue. Maddie Rakic, though, winning it back in a really dangerous position. Still going, Maddie Rakic. Oh, that would have been quite the spectacular goal. She'd been able to nail the finish. Just leaving a little bit to be desired. Both of these teams hungry for the second goal of the game. And you do get the impression that it will be highly instructive in how the end result comes to be. Second goal from Boline may well be the ultimate deflator for Boroondara, who've come out with a fire under their bellies. Whereas if Boroondara could grab it, that would only feed further into their rabid ambition that they've shown up to this point in the second half. Sarah Kane now for Bulleen has been heavily involved in this game in the middle of the park up to this point. Ferreira Bass giving chase. Her and Malloy, a couple of well-experienced heads in Victorian football. The result is a Boroondara throw. Ball inside was only ever closest to Yasevsky. Boline leaning much more into the counter-attacking side of their game in this second half. Mary Brown not convinced there was enough on up ahead to continue on that occasion. Now Roger turns out of a tight space into a more comfortable area of the pitch. It ends with Maddie Rakic. As we tick past an hour played at the Veneto Club, two tenants of this venue have put on a real show this afternoon, even with just the one goal as the result. Malloy doing well enough. And now Buttress. Skipping past Rees and through the legs of Nagai. Now Sarah Kane. Has formed Sarah Kane at long-range strikes, including at this very venue in this competition in the past. Hasn't quite been able to recapture that magic in a Boline shirt as of yet. And with that last stoppage, we will take the chance for a substitution to be made. Mary Brown's afternoon comes to an end. She'll be replaced by Boleyn's new recruit from the USA, Taylor Golden. Back into the matchday squad. Former Tampa Bay United and Swan City Soccer Club player. Most recently with South Georgia Tormenta, Taylor Golden. But at just 21 years of age, it's no doubt been a challenging adjustment to life in NPLW Victoria, but with a real opportunity to make an impact on a game in which there's been plenty of space for attacking players, as she finds out with her first touch of the ball. Taylor Golden. Well, that would have been quite the way to make your mark, coming off the bench. Had Mia Mossman diving to make the save. Just too much width in the end. And now it's Boroondara who will make their own set of changes. It's the end of the afternoon for Candy Ferreira-Bass. Looks to be the case for Felicity Georgopoulos too, and I think Maddie Rees. Looks as if Zoe Bennett and Cicely Paraskavis have both come into the action for the final half an hour. Alongside Maria Patricius up in the defensive line for Boroondara. Here she is now, Patricius, making that challenge on Buttress. So a couple of youngsters in Bennett and Paraskavis given a run, hoping to get their team back into this, whilst the, of course, experienced head of Maria Patricius. This is her 6th season at Boroondara. One of those players who's been through a real journey with the club in the last few years, of course, getting back to the top flight. Now going head-to-head with the Goliaths of Victorian football, such as Bulleen. Ball sent in. It's a wonderful attempt. Oh, what a goal, Danny Buttress. You will not see a better goal anywhere in the country this weekend, as Danella Buttress with a special finish at the Veneto Club. Well, that's the way to double your advantage. She's done everything but score up to this point in the afternoon, but Danella Buttress, remember the name. That was something quite spectacular. And you consider the timing of the game as well, of course, just when Boroondara have made their move, making the triple substitution. This one falling into the path of Taylor Golden. Golden to make it 3. And in the matter of about 90 seconds, Boline have taken the scoreline from 1-0 to 3. Taylor Golden, the substitute, very nearly scored with her first touch. But she made no mistake from that position. And Bulleen Lions are well on their way to getting back inside the winner's circle. As Taylor Golden scores her first goal in a Bulleen shirt. Well, how quickly games of football can change. They absorbed everything the Boroondara threw at them in this second half, Boline, and they've come away with 2 goals as well. That Dunny Buttress finish, something really, really special. And Taylor Golden making it an even sweeter afternoon for Caitlin Friend's team, who now will, you'd think, almost certainly get themselves another 3 points, their 3rd win in the league this season, as that ball is down the throat of Emily Shields. There is still time for Boroondara to cause a bit of a scare if they've got something left in the tank, but having given what they have in this second half, to be dealt a sucker punch as Boline have done in the last few minutes. Boline looking to really press home their advantage as Nia Saleh stands over the corner. Ball inside, it's a good one too, headed on target by Malloy. Mia Mossman well positioned to claim it though. And now Cicely Paraskevas, who was one of those 3 players who just came onto the pitch and then to concede twice in quick succession like that. Certainly be a deflating experience, and really you get the sense the game as a whole has had a lot of the energy sucked out of it because of that, the competitive tension. Boline have done an excellent job at slamming the door shut on Boroondara. Dempsey and Yusevsky with a physical tussle. It's Boline who come away with the ball. Rosie Rogers spreads it to Sarah Kane, and Kane trying her luck again this afternoon. Hasn't quite had her finishing boots on. The offside flag there, curtailing the Boline attack. So what will be so pleasing for Caitlin Friend would be the 3 goals, of course, that they've got, with 20 minutes still left to play too. Combined with the 3 they scored against Keilor Park in the Cup, makes it 6 in a couple of outings for the Bulleen Lions. That ball through. A nice idea trying to set Dempsey away, but not to be. But with these 3 goals in an NPLW game, Bulleen, they've doubled their goal tally for the season in just one afternoon. Although that could change even further if Danny Buttress can get this delivery right. That was awkward to deal with for Higuchi. Paraskavis, that ball slipping between her legs. All things considered, it is pretty harsh for Boroondara to have brought the intensity they have to this second half and then to be undone by that Danny Buttress goal, who tries to double her tally. That one deflected away. More onside only as far as Hayley Gertz. Does look as if the winning run will come to an end for Boroondara. Three in a row across all competitions. They've nonetheless given themselves a really solid foundation from which they can build going forward. This result vital for Boline as they look to claw their way back into the upper echelons of NPLW football, and they will very much consider themselves as belonging. Well, the really good news for Boline is if they do see out this game and claim the 3 points, they're all of a sudden just 1 point outside the top 4, 1 point behind Preston. Tells you that, well, most teams have had a hiccup or two this season. South Melbourne, the only real exception up to this point. As a result, they've got themselves a comfortable cushion at the top, but it's fiercely contested throughout really the rest of the league. FB Academy picking up their first win of the season this weekend, so everyone's got at least a win. And a whole lot of teams in a traffic jam through most of the NPLW ladder. Performances like this going a long way for Boline to getting them out on the other side of that in good shape. That challenge from Chris Malloy ending in a Boroondara corner. Can the Eagles manage to at least claw one back just to give themselves something to show from this afternoon's game? Of course, with 15 minutes left, you know how much goals can change games in football. It's Higuchi again for the second time in this half with a clean look at the header. That one requiring a less spectacular save from Emily Shields. And at the moment it looks as if it just won't go in for Boroondara, not even one of them. Ball forward by Cagnina, awkward. Well, Mia Mossman will be more grateful than just about anyone else in the venue that the offside flag went up just as she handballed that one. That was in a moment, in an afternoon which has had no shortage of excellent moments for Mia Mossman. That won't quite make the cut of the highlight reel. But there is to be no material consequence for it. It's very Rayan. Closely marshalled by Cagnina. And the result is a Bulleen goal kick. And with that, we will get another couple of Boroondara substitutions. Saki Nagai will be replaced by Rachel Sturton. Whilst the veteran Ellen Turner also gets her opportunity this afternoon. That ball through, a decent one as well. Chance for Boroondara. The tackle had to be clean from Grace Cagnina. And referee satisfied that it was. Drew Dempsey again getting in behind. Just a little bit of nerves still permeating from Boline. They don't want to let their opponents in with even the slightest chance. That ball in, met by Cagnina. Collier. Ball up, met by the head of Malloy, and now coming away with it was Roger. Buttress. Down the left-hand side, shot in, stinging the gloves of Mia Mossman. Well, credit to Boroondara, they haven't lessened their endeavour, even with those couple of Bulleen goals, which looked to have secured the result for Caitlin Friend's team. Boroondara continuing to prod and try to find a way through. That ball from Hayley Gertz will roll harmlessly behind for Emily Shields to take a goal kick though. Looking forward for Boline, next couple of weeks of league action. Next time out, heading to Kingston Heath to take on Bentley Greens before back here at the Ven to play FV Academy. Hayley Gertz now for Boroondara. Again with the speculative attempt. Games against Bentley and FV Academy, Boline will be warm favourites for both of those before a real tough run away at Lakeside against South Melbourne before hosting Heidelberg United. Makes this afternoon's result even more important for Boline, that they were able to pick up the points and get themselves some confidence back ahead of those games they should win, and maybe heading into South Melbourne and Heidelberg on a bit of a winning streak. Still plenty of football to be played, of course, before that can be the case. Whilst for Boroondara, they do have their next 2 games will be here at the Ven. First against Essendon Royals, then against Alamein. Neither of those teams are easy to play anywhere. So it won't be a straightforward task to rebound for the Eagles, but they've certainly proven they're capable of mixing it with some of the best in this division. Even if it hasn't panned out the way they would have planned for this afternoon. That one bouncing up into the face of Rachel Sturton, and that will allow Bulleen to regain the ball. Taylor Golden offside. Have been caught by that trap a handful of occasions this afternoon, Bulleen. Won't mind too much with the 3 goals to their name. Once again, opting for the more direct approach, which we've seen a lot in this second half from Boroondara. That ball, though, headed back from whence it came. Boline, with this result, will have a 6th straight win against Boroondara in all competitions. The Eagles, their streak of not beating their neighbours since returning to the top flight, will continue into a 7th game. Well, it'll continue into an 8th. It'll make it 7 in which they haven't gotten the win. Let's just have a momentary pause for injury concern on that far side. I think it's Angelique Houndelus who's going to need some more treatment. You see, as Boroondara will have to manage with 10 for at least a little while. Corner sent in. Looks as if Mossman did just enough to get a fist to that one. Sturton losing out to Kane, and now Rakic. Fired into the head of Higuchi. Now Roger, out to Rakic. Cross inside. Be collected by Buttress. And that ball well met by Bennett. Gives the chance for Sturton to turn. Kristen Malloy has been excellent all afternoon. And now Rakic, you see, getting more and more adventurous, staying up following the set piece, and they'll earn themselves another corner, Bulleen. Saleh with the delivery. Finds a teammate's head in Golden, but wasn't able to get up and able to direct it on target. Golden again, that ball inside, catching a heavy deflection, and that provides the opportunity for Mossman to come and claim. Boline will be grateful to have avoided that unprecedented 4th straight NPLW defeat. Having endured those 3 losses, things looking a little bit more how Caitlin Friend would have intended prior to the season. Oh, when you throw in the potential returnees from the A-League to players like this, Danny Buttress, we've seen what she can do this afternoon. Especially in that first half, she was just a constant threat down the flanks for Boline, and then the goal, of course, in the second half doesn't need a whole lot more explanation just to characterize how good it was. They will get themselves another corner, Bulleen, as well, the prospect of a 4th remains. As things stand, these teams level on points, 9 points each after 6 games, 3 wins, 3 defeats. And dead level on a 0 goal difference too. Corner sent in. Boroondara have dealt with those pretty effectively throughout the game. And once again, they get it clear for a throw. Ball in, awkward to deal with for Mossman, who did just enough to claim it. Perhaps a little bit unlucky considering the shift she's put in to have conceded 3 this afternoon, Mia Mossman. This is Sturton playing it up towards Dempsey. And ball inside, met by Saleh, who gets it to Golden. Higuchi doing enough to find Turner. And Golden making amends, chasing back to direct it to her goalkeeper. And Emily Shields happy to wait for the press before picking up the ball and sending away Kat Renahan. Renahan's ball. Well read by Collier. This is Sturton. Looks inboard towards Turner. Instead it will be Emily Collier again, able to keep her scoring streak alive of 2 games. Ball across, goal. And now trying her luck is Turner, but that one never looked especially likely to trouble Shields. So we do reach the end of the 90 minutes. We'll see how long our officiating team opt to continue into second half stoppage time, with the result very much beyond doubt. So we see Danny Batteris knocked down, back on her feet, still running, still terrorising the Boroondara defence. Rosie Roger now. Golden as well. Eventually the sheer weight of numbers is enough for Boroondara, as Taylor Golden evidently expressing her displeasure at some of the physical attention she got in that last exchange. Paraskevas takes a throw in towards Dempsey. Sarah Kane has had an excellent afternoon into evening of midfield work. Is there to be a final goal for Bulleen? Danny Buttress wins the corner. And maybe a final opportunity to add some icing to the cake of what's been a much improved performance from Boline Lions this afternoon. Ball sent in, Mossman with the punch. Oh, you thought for a second it might sneak into the back of the net anyway. But does just enough to get it to the other side of the far post. Nia Saleh, who's had plenty of running to corner flags to do throughout the afternoon, will perhaps for the final time send this one into the area. That one met by Sturton. Is there to be a final counter-attacking surge from Boroondara? Higuchi wasn't able to keep it ahead of Rakic, who now continues her run down the right-hand side. Gertz is there as well. And the 2 number 10s end in a Boline throw. And that will be full time at the Veneto Club. Bulleen get their season well and truly back on track. A big win against their neighbours, Boroondara. They started off brightly, won themselves a penalty, which Mia Mossman saved, but the next big chance fell the way of Anais Yasevsky, who gave Bulleen the advantage at the break. And despite a challenging opening put forward by Boroondara into the second 45, really making Bulleen work for their advantage, it was a Danella Buttress spectacular that really broke the game apart. 2-0 at that point. Taylor Golden, coming off the bench, made it 3 about a minute later for her first goal in a Bulleen shirt. And as a result, the reigning premiers come away with a commanding result and a great display as well to go with it. For Boroondara, it's been a bright start to the campaign. This one, a bit of a crash back to earth, but they'll look to get back on the horse with a couple of tough fixtures in the next few weeks for themselves. But that is all the action that we have to bring for you from round 6 of NPLW Victoria. It's Bulleen Lions who make their move up the ladder and towards the competitive areas where silverware will be fought amongst the likes of South Heidelberg and perhaps even Alamein as well, the teams who've really started the 2025 campaign brightly. That is all the time that we have. We hope you have enjoyed the coverage of NPLW Victoria this weekend. Full-time score from this game at the Veneto Club: Bulleen Lions 3, Boroondara Eagles 0.